All right, we are now live. Hey, players, welcome to another live stream here on my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Josh. Every single week, I make videos sharing tips, ideas, and stories teaching you how to be your best self. And in this live stream, I want to go through 5 signs that you might be annoying. These are different things that people might pick up about you or you might feel about yourself. Little things that you may do that other people make comments about, saying things like, hey, that's kind of annoying when you do that, or oh, leave us alone, we don't want to talk to you. You might feel like people don't respond to your messages or answer you. So I want to walk you through what those 5 things are so that you can be better prepared in your social situations when talking to people, to be mindful of your actions and how you're acting around other people. Ultimately, I want to help you guys feel prepared and comfortable in any kind of situation and environment you're in. Now, before I get into those 5 signs, though, I do want to give shout outs to all the early birds here in the chat. So if you're someone that's jumping into the chat right now, or you're someone that's been here since the get-go, jump into the chat, say hi, and I'll give you guys your shout out. Let me unpin that message. I'll give you guys a shout out. So let's see who we got in here. Hamish is in here. Hamish, good to see you, man. Anthony Quentel. Senpai Animates is in here. Judah Rondez. Azim says, beautiful day, playa. Beautiful day indeed. Jessica Folds is in here. Rage Master. Christian Barron. Jalen's in here. Haley's in here. 5 things Haley does constantly. Well, we'll see, Haley. At the end of this, I want you to give me a tally and say, hey, I do 2 of the 5, 3 of the 5, whatever it may be. Clickfire says, Josh, strong, handsome, alpha male. Sure, I'll take it. Divideo Studios in here. Yancey. Mohammed Salah Karush is in here. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Synchro Legend. Lorenzo Caldeon. Voldy is in here. Judah Rondez. Hard Facts TV. Cheesy, good to have you, man. Trayson Abuyo. Jolly is in here. How's it going, Jolly? Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, the opposite storyline. Happy to see you're here, man. Alex Burns, Carrot's in here. Pam G, Jacob Mems, Trayson Abuelo, I said Trayson Abuelo, JRV Poopy. I guess JRV Poopy is in here, guys. Horrormore is in here. Drift Lewis, Ochi Loki. Loki. Oh, that's a cool name. Anyway, guys, to everyone else that's watching as well, be active in the chat. This is going to be a super interactive stream. I definitely want to get your take and your opinions on things. If I talk about something that you feel is relevant to what you're going through, feel free to share it in the chat. This is the best place to kind of share what's on your mind, to talk about your experience, and to kind of just gain more insight into what other people are dealing with as well. Now, if you have a burning question, this is something that is on your mind that you want to get my opinion and my answer on right now, you can always use the super chat function. You can donate $1, $2, $5, whatever it is. It'll put your super chat front and center, and I will stop what I'm talking about and I will answer your question. So if that's something interesting to you or something you're able to do, feel free to use the super chat function to kind of ask your question. I'll stop and I'll answer it. Now, I want to start actually with the chat poll here because I just want to get a take on how you guys feel about all this. We're going to be talking about signs that you might be annoying. So I feel like the most obvious question to ask here is, do you feel like people think you're annoying sometimes? Yes or no here. I'm curious to know what you guys think. I feel that way. I feel like sometimes when I'm around people, they might think I'm annoying or the things I talk about are annoying or whatever it may be. I feel like it's a feeling we all kind of have, right? We doubt ourselves. We feel like other people don't like us or accept us or care about us. And a lot of times that's inside our own heads. I know, right? You hear that bird? I don't know why it just keeps going on and on forever. Anyway, yeah, so I'm curious, guys. Do you ever feel like people think that you are annoying sometimes? I want to hear what you guys have to say. Carrot says no. Kerr9620 says yes. Karate Kid says yes. Farouk Balsara says, I'm the chat poll. He got us there, guys. He's the chat poll. Hamish with the £2 super chat. Hamish, thank you so much. Hamish said yes. Carrot says, because I'm not annoying. Fair enough. Anthony says, my friends call me annoying all the time. Pierre says yes. Trayson says sometimes. Synchro says yeah. Lorenzo says no, I'm quiet most of the times. Jalen says yes. Travis says yes. Scott says yes. Elihan Peralta says mega yes. I'm seeing a lot of yeses in here. So I think it's something that either we've thought about ourselves or people have told us. So I want to walk you guys through what these 5 different signs are, and then I want to get your perspective on, if these are things that you've done before or things that you know that people do. Because along with learning what is annoying behaviors or what are things that annoy people, it's also important to learn how to kind of shift the focus so that people can like you, people can accept you, and people can be more okay with you, right? You can feel more comfortable and confident in your skin and not feel like you're always pissing people off in a way. Okay, so let's jump into point number 1 here, guys, and that's going to be this. The first sign that you might be annoying is that you reach too much for the attention of others. Now, I want to kind of break this down a little bit, because when I say you reach too much for the attention of others, what I'm essentially saying is that you go a little bit overboard when it comes to messaging someone, or you constantly are talking and asking questions and trying to share your opinion all the time. And what ends up happening here is that a lot of times when we're around our friends or kids at school or wherever we may be, we want people to notice us in a way. We want people to hear us and to recognize us. But there is a point where it can go overboard. It can actually feel like you are competing too much for that person's attention. You're doing too much to try to get their attention, right? Now, I've seen this happen tons of time. I think a lot of people do this with people, like, especially people do this with their crushes, right? You message your crush doesn't respond, you message them again, and you message them again, and you just keep messaging them because you want their attention, you want them to respond, you want them to pay attention to you and focus on you. And what you end up doing is you end up annoying them because they feel like, hey, this person is just coming at me with too many things, too many messages, too much right now. And also, if you're around your friends, this can happen too, right? If you're constantly bugging your friends, hey guys, let's play a game tonight. Hey, respond to my messages. Hey, respond to my messages. Your friends can get annoyed. They can feel like you're just kind of bringing too much to their doorstep. They may want a bit of a break or a bit of peace and quiet, or they may want to talk only when they feel open to talking, right? And along with this kind of badgering and annoying people, what ends up coming along with that is frustration, right? You reach out to someone, you keep reaching out to them, they don't respond, you get frustrated, you get annoyed, and you feel like they don't care about you. You feel like they don't want to talk to you, they hate you, right? But in reality, what you end up doing is you end up pushing them away by trying to request more of their time than they're willing to share with you. Now, I know a lot of people that have done this. Because and without even thinking about it, right? You know, sometimes you're not even thinking about how many times you're messaging someone or how many times you're asking them questions and trying to get their attention. You just keep doing it until you get blocked or until they snap at you or until they tell you to leave them alone. You know, and it's not a fun position to be in. It's not fun to be on the receiving end when that person turns on you and says like, dude, shut up, right? It's not fun to experience that. So how do we kind of fix that? How do we kind of coordinate ourselves in a way where we're not pressing someone too much? We're not trying to grab their attention so much. Before I share that, I want to jump in and see what some of you guys are saying here. I see some people saying that you know, this is something that they dealt with or have experienced before. Let's see. Alexander Cole says, yeah, I was in front of her boyfriend. I was happy. Trace him about, what do you talk about? Not sure. I missed the first piece of that. Looking through here. Haley says, I don't send more than one message out of the fear of being annoying. Yeah, and I think what can happen too is that we suppress our will and our desire to reach out to someone because we don't want to be annoying, right? So sometimes we may hold back from following up with someone because we're afraid we're going to be labeled as annoying. So it's a hard line to walk, right? What is too much? At what point do you feel like you're badgering that person? At what point do you feel like it's okay to reach out to them and ask them a follow-up question? I think the real key piece here is you have to kind of understand the dynamic of how you communicate with that person, right? It really does fall into a person-by-person basis, right? There might be friends that you have, or even a boyfriend or girlfriend or someone that you like, that you feel like, hey, I can message this person any time of day, as many times as I want, and they do the same to me. We have that type of connection. Whereas other people, you know, maybe you message them once and they don't respond and you're afraid to message them again. I think that the key ultimately is this. It's going to be that if you want to send a follow-up message to someone without being annoying, or you want to ask them a follow-up question, I think that the framing of how you do that has to be different from how you first asked the question. So I'll give you an example of that. Let's say you ask them, hey guys, let's say you're asking a group of friends, hey guys, do you want to get together on Friday, right? You know, you pose the question, no response. By the way, you ain't slick with that WWE title in the back. Why would I think I'm slick because I have that WWE pillow in the back? I don't know. But let's say you pose that question, no one responds. So a good follow-up might be something like, hey guys, I'm still planning on doing this thing on Friday, right? And I'd love for anyone that's free to just give me a yes or no and keep me updated on whether or not you can come. So now you've framed it like, hey, I'm still going forward with the plans. All you have to do is respond with a yes or a no. A lot of times when we ask people a question, it's difficult for them to kind of give a full detailed answer because maybe they're busy, maybe they have homework, maybe they have a million things. But if you kind of frame it in a quicker yes or no, it might be easier for them to just respond. So that might be a way to kind of reframe that follow-up question there. And I don't think that you'd come off as annoying because you're just informing them about what's going on. Hamish, thank you for the £5 super chat. Hamish says, I'm really excited as I'm almost ready to go solo in a glider. I can't wait. Hamish, that's really cool, man. Oh man, that's going to be so much fun. I've never ridden on a glider before, but I've seen videos, I've seen people do it before. I think it's going to be super, super fun for you, man. I think you're going to have a wonderful, wonderful time. I can't wait to hear all about your experience. So let me know when you go about doing it, man. Thank you for the £5 super chat, man. I really appreciate it. But yeah, so I want to jump in and see what some of you guys are saying here because, like I said, there's that thin line of at what point is it too much? Are you messaging to them too much and stuff? My simple take on that is that if you are continuously messaging someone over and over and over, hoping that the more messages they get, the better chance they have of responding, I think you're doing it the wrong way because every message has to kind of speak to them in some kind of way. Just because they see 15 heys, hey, how's it going, in a row, they're not going to respond to the 10th hey and say, all right, this is the hey that I want to respond to, right? It has to be something a little bit more intriguing. It has to have a little bit more detail, a little bit more depth to what you're saying. So that's how you kind of pull back from being annoying there and how you kind of can probably grab their attention and talk to them without them being just bothered by you. JRV people poopy. I almost said JRV people. I meant JRV poopy. Says, is it okay if you don't like read the message right away? But also, is it okay to text them back in like 2 hours or 30 minutes? JRV, I think that we kind of live in this society where we're expected to respond to messages as soon as you get them, right? Like you're supposed to ignore the people you're with in person. You're supposed to ignore everything you do and respond to that message. The truth of the matter is that it's very, very rare that a person will text you something and they need an urgent answer in that moment, right? It's very rare. I mean, like maybe if you're in a situation where someone's grocery shopping and they're like, hey, do we need this? Or maybe if someone's like, hey, I'm lost and I need you to pick me up or something. In those situations, yeah, it's probably good to respond. But if it's not a dire situation where it's like that person needs your answer right now, it's okay to respond whenever you feel like you have time. Don't allow the fact that this message and this notification is sitting there glowing on your phone stop you from doing whatever it is you're doing in person. Respond when you feel comfortable. And if that person gets annoyed that you responded 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours later, let them know you were busy. You were in the moment doing something. I think that we have to kind of break this connection to like, we need to always be active on our phones 24/7. It's not healthy. It's not realistic because we have so many other things going on in our lives too, that this expectation that people need to always be there, it's a bad way to go about things. Let's see. Azim says, how to get people to laugh with you, rather than at you. Sometimes you got to laugh at yourself, right? Also, how to get people not talk about you behind your back. Yeah, Azim. I think the way to get people to laugh with you and not at you is they need to kind of see that you have a sense of humor about yourself. You're not so uptight, not so serious. You can kind of laugh at the mistakes you make. You can laugh at the challenges you face. You know, like you're okay with the fact that you're not perfect, right? If people see that, hey, you know, you messed up, you're okay with it, you're laughing it off, they're going to pick up on that. They're going to feel a sense of ease because they're going to read that off of you, that sense of ease coming from you. But if they see that you're embarrassed and you're shy and you're angry that people saw you, yeah, then they're going to continuously laugh at you because that's going to make them uncomfortable. And it's easier to laugh and disconnect from a situation, to laugh at someone and disconnect when you are uncomfortable than it is to actually dive in and try to explore those feelings and understand them. So I think the way to kind of manage that is take a chill pill for yourself and realize, hey, we're not perfect. We don't have to be perfect. We make mistakes. We do dumb things. let me read one or two more comments here before I move forward. Let's see. Judah Rondon says, "Hey Josh, I asked my friend Nanti if he could ask my other friend Layla if she knows any other way to contact Paloma, since Paloma said we haven't talked in a while, so we could if you want to." Yeah, Judah, I hear where you're coming from. Sometimes it's difficult because you may not have a direct way to communicate with someone, so you need to kind of go through friends, go through mutual connections, blah, blah, blah. But I think ultimately, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially if you have no way to reach out to that person or have a way to figure out how to connect to them. What I would really recommend is that try to get that person's direct contact as soon as you can and start messaging them directly as soon as you can, because the longer you kind of wait where there's no communication, the easier it is for them to move on and just kind of forget about you in a way. But to the first point that I asked there, I talked about, I asked you guys there, I shared with you guys that, sometimes if you over message people, you're trying to get their attention a lot, you can end up being annoying to them. So we'll do a chat poll here, and I want to ask you guys this question. Have you ever over messaged someone to the point where they got annoyed with you? That might be through DMing them. That might be through private messaging them, messaging a friend on Discord, on Instagram, on Snapchat, or anywhere else, where you just kept messaging that person over and over and over to the point where they got annoyed and they didn't like the fact that you were trying to monopolize their time and attention. Have you ever done that to someone before? Yes or no? I want to hear what you guys have to say. Leica says, are people mean because they're people, or is it just me? I think that people are mean a lot of times as a defense mechanism, right? People want to push away anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. So acknowledging hurt can sometimes come out as pain towards someone else, right? If someone's hurt, if someone's scared, if someone's angry, they may not know how to process and manage those feelings, and they may shift it over to someone else by yelling at you, by blaming you, by attacking you. So I think a lot of times if people are upset, it's a feeling that they have, right? It's not you. You're not the feeling. They have the feeling. So if they, oh God, keep yawning. If they are taking their anger out on you and you're wondering, well, what did I do something wrong? It means that they haven't figured out how to process and talk about their feelings and share their feelings. And that's definitely something they need to work on. So I asked you guys, have you ever messaged someone to the point where it just annoyed them? Pokemon Mystery Dungeon said no. Tyler says no. Cheesy says no. In fact, a message too little. That's interesting, Cheesy. Why do you feel like you message too little? Do you feel like you don't, like Haley said before, you don't want to put too much on a plate and just overwhelm them? Pierre says yes. Jalen says yes, my crush. Travis says 100% yes. Hamish says yes. Haley says no. I did that to my mom once, though. Jalen says yes. Giselle says yes. Hamish 1 million times yes. Synchro Legend says yes, but I don't know how they reacted. Karate Kid says no, but I feel ignored and I don't want to be ignored. I hear you on that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you message people and they don't respond to you, it's very easy to feel ignored, right? You feel like they don't care what you have to say. So you may want to message them more because you just want them to pay attention to you. You want them to acknowledge you in some kind of way. So I hear where you're coming from on that. I want to move into point number 2 here, guys, because I think this is going to be an interesting one. Point number 2 is this. The second sign that you might be annoying is that you treat your friends like they're your therapist. Now, I want to kind of explain this one a little bit because it's not always simple to find the line. I think with all these points, with all these signs, it's a very blurred middle line as to like when it becomes too much, when it's too little, and when it's just right. When I say you treat your friends like your therapist, I'm not talking about opening up to your friends and sharing your feelings. I'm not talking about venting about a bad day you had or drama that you encountered. I'm not even talking about, like spreading drama yourself. What I'm talking about is that sometimes our friends are the only ones that we have to talk to about what's going on in our lives. So we just kind of share everything with them. Family problems at home, relationship problems, you're dealing with mental health issues, you failed a grade at class, you failed the test in school, like all these different issues we have that just compile and build up on our shoulders, we just kind of unload it onto our friends. We talk and talk and talk about what's bothering us and what's bothering us and what's bothering us. And a lot of times our friends, and this is what I'm saying, this is the point I'm making, is that we treat our friends like they're our therapists. We hope in some ways they're going to help give us a solution to work through our problems. We hope that we can just share anything and everything with them and they're always going to be there for us. But at some point, we have to recognize sometimes we're putting a heavy emotional burden on that other person, right? And it's not just sharing your feelings, but it's holding this expectation that my friend is going to kind of understand my problem and figure it out. Or I'm just going to keep sharing things with them, and I hope that they're never going to be annoyed or they're never going to get exhausted by me sharing things with them. Now, like I said, it's a tricky line to face because, it is important to share with your friends. It is important to talk about how you feel, but it's also important to recognize that if you feel like the problems that you're sharing are consistent patterns and behaviors with people around you, whether it's parents or siblings or teachers or even friends, they're consistent negative patterns and they are just depleting and destroying your mental health. It's incredibly important to speak to an actual therapist about it, right? Our friends are not replacements for mental health professionals. Our friends don't have that training. They don't have that skill set. They don't have the degrees. If you speak to an actual mental health professional about what's going on in your life, you're going to have someone that's going to help you create a plan. You're going to have someone that's going to help you understand patterns of behavior. You're going to have someone that's going to help you process your feelings and emotions. And I think it's important to recognize, hey, you know what? I can share with my friends, but if I notice that every time I talk to my friends, it's just unloading a lot on them to the point where they get exhausted, it's just totally going to kind of hurt that friendship because your friends are going to feel like anytime they talk to you that, they're going to have to kind of now carry an emotional burden. It's going to be hard on them. It's going to be difficult, right? Dono, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Dono, I truly, truly appreciate it, man. I'm so happy you're part of this community. You're just an awesome, awesome person all around, man. Thank you for the $2 super chat. So this is the real challenge I think that people face, right? Because we want to share with our friends and the idea of speaking to a therapist might be scary, might be foreign to us. So one thing I wanted to share here, guys, is I'm partnering up with BetterHelp, right? And I didn't put the thing all the way. I'm partnering up with BetterHelp. If you go to betterhelp.com/SajoshSpeaks, if you feel like you're in a place in your life where you need to kind of process what you're going through, you're carrying a heavy emotional burden, there's problems at home, maybe you fight with your mom all the time, maybe you have suicidal thoughts and just negative opinions about yourself, speaking to a therapist and a counselor is going to be super, super helpful. Now, this is a sponsored link. Like I said, I'm partnering with BetterHelp for this. So if you're interested in speaking to an actual mental health professional, if you go to betterhelp.com, you can fill out their survey over there on the right. It's several questions, but it kind of helps filter and find the right counselor for you to speak to. I think BetterHelp is an awesome service that a lot of people can kind of benefit from. So if you are someone that you feel like can work with therapists and feels like you need to, definitely take that road. But as I said before, try not to treat your friends like they're your therapists. They're your friends. Now, they want to be there. Your friends want to be there to help you. Your friends want to be there to hear you out. Your friends want to be there to kind of be by your side when things are tough. But it's important to understand the difference, because if anytime you communicate with that friend, it's always unloading negative feelings, you're going to hurt the friendship. Because what builds that friendship is trust, communication, openness, fun, all these different qualities. And if you've kind of negated all of that and pushed all of that aside just so that you can kind of treat them like a therapist and only talk about what's going on, the negative things in your life, you're gonna lose a piece of that deeper connection that you have with that person. And the reason why I included that in being annoying is that, no one that's not a trained professional wants to suddenly find themselves in a position where they feel helpless to offer help, right? Where they don't have the answers, they don't know what to say, but they're kind of now given the task and challenge of, I have to help this person, but I don't know how. So definitely speaking to a mental health professional is the way to go. I wanted to share that, guys. Like I said, BetterHelp is a wonderful service that you can definitely use to speak to a trained professional counselor. So I would definitely check that out, and because I think it'll be helpful. Okay, let's do a chat poll. I'm just curious. I want to get your guys' opinion on something. I want to ask you guys this. When it comes to opening up and sharing things with your friends, do you feel like you are like 100% honest with them, or 100% open rather with them? I think open is a better thing than honesty here. All right, guys. Am I back? Is it back on? All right. Waiting for my stream deck to open up here. Yeah, I know, right? It pulled up the Instagram. That was the last thing it froze on there. Anyway, guys, so since if I am live, I'll just say after this live stream, I'm going to be going live over on Instagram for the Instagram after party. Oh, the camera's here. For the Instagram after party. So make sure to follow me over on Instagram if you're not already, so that you can jump on. Basically, what I love to do in the Instagram after party is I love to bring you guys on to video chat. So if you want to jump on video chat with me, that's going to be the perfect place to go about doing it. Trying to get my stream deck running. Come on, stream deck. Okay, OBS camera's back on, but oh, maybe I could just manually click in here. Okay, I'll manually click for now until I get this open. Anyway, guys, I think we are back in action here. Stream deck is not open anymore. Okay. All right, if I can't get the stream deck running, then I'm just gonna do by clicking in OBS. Anyway, guys, so I was on that second point there, which, like I said, is you treat your friends like their therapist. Let's move on to point number 3 here, and that's going to be this. The third sign that you might be annoying is that you tend to over-dramatize situations. Now, this is something that is very subtle. Not a lot of people realize that they do it. And the reason why it creates a real problem is because it creates a situation where your friends feel like they can't be honest with you, where they can't share things with you, and they can't... sorry, I'm getting totally lost and distracted here. Is it running or is it lagging? I think it's running now. Okay. So if you're someone that kind of is oversharing or kind of making situations bigger than they are, to the point where your friends initially reach out to try to help you, initially try to figure out what's wrong, but then later on discover that maybe it wasn't as big of a deal as you played it up to be, they might feel like you kind of were the boy who cried wolf here, that you kind of made them worried and nervous about something going on when in reality it wasn't as big as it was. This can be incredibly annoying because you are pulling on the heartstrings of that person. You're making them feel like, oh my God, this is serious. I need to help this person, only to realize, wait a second, this person, made it more serious than it was. And now I feel kind of like I invested and tried to help them when in reality that wasn't the case. Now, I want to dive more into that point, but Azim, thank you for the $5 super chat. Azim says, we avoid awkward situations because people feel uncomfortable. So what is the meaning of your book title? Does it literally mean embrace the awkward? That's a good point, Azim. Hold on. All right, there we go. Azim is talking about my book, Embracing the Awkward. For those of you that don't know, I wrote a book called Embracing the Awkward. It's a guide for teens to succeed at school, life, and relationships. The purpose of the title and the whole idea of embracing the awkward essentially is to say that, those moments in our lives where we feel scared or nervous or insecure are actually learning moments for us. They're moments that are going to teach us how to better deal with those situations, right? If we never encounter situations that challenge us, that push us out of our comfort zone, that really stretch our ability to act and learn, then we're always going to kind of stay in the same rut. We're never going to really grow beyond our own regular capacity. So embracing the awkward, in my mind, is all about recognizing that there are going to be difficult moments and scary moments and hard moments, but we can embrace them. We can recognize that, yes, we may feel uncomfortable in those moments, but that discomfort is the stretching, it is the growing, it is the learning process. So that's what the title of the book means, Azim. I I'd love to know what your thoughts are. I don't know if you've read it yet, Azim, but if you do end up reading it, definitely leave a review over on Amazon, and that goes for anyone too. If any of you guys have the book, make sure to leave a review over on Amazon if you can. Amazon reviews go a long way. This copy has been sitting on my windowsill, so if you see it's kind of worn from the sun, it's like the sun has kind of done its due on the colors and everything. But we're back in action, guys. I'm happy to be back streaming here. And like I said, check out my book, Embracing the Awkward, if you haven't. In fact, I'll pull it up. Oh, where is it? Over here. Yeah, like I said, it's available on Amazon. It's a book for teens and young adults. So if you're someone in high school, college, or even in middle school, this book is good for you. I kind of walk through a lot of the things I experienced growing up myself, a lot of the awkward challenges I have, and I give a lot of practical steps, tips, and advice in here that can help you through some very, very kind of difficult or challenging situations you may run into. Starting conversations with people, making friends, talking to your crush, figuring out your path and your purpose, what you want to do when you go to college or when you graduate college. I kind of share my perspective on it, and I think it'll be super, super helpful for you too. So definitely check out the book. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Hamish says, my mom got a copy of Josh's book, Awkward. Yeah, Hamish, definitely read it. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be working on the audiobook at some point, so stay tuned for that. It's going to happen at some point. All right, we're back in action. Stream Deck's on. Streaming's running. Hopefully we don't freeze again. But back to point number 3 here, guys. As I was saying, you tend to over-dramatize situations. Sometimes that might be you say things that are a little more extreme, and I'll give you a few examples. If you're someone that is constantly saying something like, oh my God, my life sucks, I want to die, I hate myself, I want to kill myself. Now, these are strong statements, and they're scary statements. And when your friends hear you say things like that, I want to die, I want to kill myself, I hate my life, I'm going to run away, whatever it may be, they get nervous, and they get scared, and they want to reach out and help you. But if you're saying it kind of in a way that you're just letting off steam to where your friends don't know if you're being serious or not, it can really annoy them. It can make them feel like they don't know when to actually step in and help or when you just kind of are venting. So it's important to be mindful of how we speak, right? Because if you're someone that is kind of over-exaggerating on things and you're just saying it to say it rather than because you mean it, it can be scary for people and they may feel just completely annoyed by it. So if you find yourself in a situation where you want to over-dramatize things and you want to be a little bit more extra, because sometimes we are all extra in that regard, it is incredibly important to think of others too. And when we share with others, to be honest with them, right? Honesty and being honest with people means sharing our deep feelings and our real feelings. But when we're sharing feelings that sound good rather than how we actually feel, it can be incredibly misleading to people. So if that's something that you deal with and something that you find yourself doing that people get annoyed by, it's important to catch yourself to realize, hey, this is something I can work on, this is something I can change, and to start making those active changes in changing the language that you use when you speak to people about what you're dealing with. I want to hear what some more of you guys are saying in here. Haley says, guys, I don't know, Anthony Q is kind of sus, but I saw Donald vent. Who we voting out? Uh-oh, we're voting someone out, guys. I hope I don't get voted out. Hamish says, I need a Greg sausage roll. Hamish, you should definitely try they have a vegan Greg sausage roll. You should definitely try it out and let me know if it's good or not. I've heard a lot of good things, but try it out, Hamish, if you can. Let me know what you think. Alexander Cole says, Anthony, I got a hug yesterday from my crush. Her boyfriend didn't like that. I'm happy you got the hug, Alexander, but I know that, of course, the boyfriend might be a little sus about that and think like, hey, what's going on there? Why are you doing that? So it can be tricky and difficult sometimes when you're interacting with someone who's in a couple like that. So you may just want to also be mindful of that as well. Metalhead says, Josh, I always worry that what I say will completely make them lose interest. Girls specifically, for example, asking too many questions will make them lose interest immediately. Metalhead, that's a really good point. Like I said before, it's hard to figure out the exact line between when you are questioning someone too much and when you are not talking to them enough. I think that if you want to, kind of not fall into a place where you feel like you are, badgering someone with questions, it's incredibly important to also share your experiences. And this is going to be a point that I'm going to actually get to a little bit later on as I get to the other 2 points, to share more your experience there, because If you're just asking questions but you're not talking about why those questions are relevant to you and important to you, that person might just feel like you're just badgering them. You're just asking like an interview. And you don't ever want it to feel like an interview. You want it to feel like a conversation, like the two of you are having fun, like you enjoy each other's company, like there's something to learn about one another that way. So I want to get a chat poll here, guys. I want to know what you guys think. I want to get your honest opinion. I want every single person watching right now to jump into the chat and answer this question. Have you ever been just a little bit over dramatic about something that happened in your life? Maybe because you wanted more people to care, or maybe because you felt overwhelmed with emotion and that was the only way that you could express it. There's nothing wrong with wanting people to pay attention to you and wanting people to hear you and wanting people to acknowledge you. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a human feeling to have. I think one of the challenges we run into is that sometimes we may go overboard if we feel like people aren't doing what we want, which is responding in the way that we want. And it's important to not push the envelope and try to be over dramatic just for attention, because that only pushes them away. They start to feel like we're not serious when we talk, and then if we're in a moment where we are serious, it might actually hurt that situation. Azim, thank you for the $5 super chat. Azim says, in the past you've said everyone loves the Josh as a rule. I believe you can win anyone over. Still, why do we have haters and people keep their distance? That's a good question. So I'll give you guys some context to that rule. One of the things I used to say when I would go out with my friends and go out to talk to girls and all these different things is just a funny thing for myself. I'd always say, hey, rule number 1, everyone loves the Josh. I'd always say this to kind of warm up the person, to show them that I was fun, I was engaging, I was inviting to them, right? If I said, hey, listen, by the end of our conversation, you're going to love me. You're going to think I'm the most fun person to hang out with. What I was doing essentially was kind of letting them know that I'm coming in with good, positive energy. I'm not coming in to, badger them with questions. I'm not coming in to make them feel uncomfortable. I'm coming in with the intention of making this situation fun and inviting. So that was kind of the mindset behind saying, hey, listen, everyone loves the Josh. Plus, it comes off kind of cocky, kind of funny. The person can laugh at it. They can push back and go, oh, really? Everyone loves the Josh? It could be a fun little way to engage with the person. Now, to Azim's second point, I believe you can win anyone over. Still, why do we have haters and people that keep their distance? A lot of times, the reason why we have haters and the reason why people don't like us for the things that we do or the choices that we make, a big part is because I think those people don't feel secure with their own choices. So it's easy to hate on someone else because it helps you feel more secure in the things that you're doing, right? If you're trying to talk to a girl and it's not working out for you, but you see another guy try to do it, and if he fails, you're going to make fun of that guy and say, oh, he's a loser, look, he failed, because you're then going to stop focusing on your own challenges and you're going to put your focus on someone else so you don't have to actually address anything. So I think the reason why people hate is because they don't want to do that inner reflection and say, hey, I need to work on these things. I need to fix these things about myself. You'll notice that if you ever talk to a person who's just a straight up hater, if you ever talk to them, you'll notice that they're never the kind of person that is encouraging, inspiring, and wants to help other people. A lot of times they are down about themselves. They are negative about life. They are cynical about everything, right? Happy, positive people that want to encourage and help and inspire others don't have time and don't see a need in being a hater. There's just no value to it. So some people take on that role because they themselves are not in a position where they want to inspire others. And I think the reason why people might keep their distance sometimes is because, like I said, they feel uncomfortable. They don't know us that well. They need time to get to know us better. They may be overthinking things. We're talking here all about signs that you're annoying, and it's like sometimes these may be things that we do that we're not even aware that we do, and it's more like, oh crap, I realize I do that. I should probably work on that. So the person that might be pulling away might feel like, oh my God, I don't feel comfortable, I'm going to pull away, because they haven't worked on how to communicate more, how to communicate their level of comfort, or you may not have created a situation where they feel comfortable enough. All in all, what it all really comes down to is, like I said, there's a human connection there. And the human connection is built on the fact that we all want to feel seen and we want to feel heard for who we are. So if you can create that environment where the person feels comfortable opening up, then they're going to want to spend more time around you. They're going to want to talk to you more. Okay, I want to jump into point number 4 here, guys, and that's going to be this. Sign number 4 is this: you don't respect others' privacy and boundaries. This is an incredibly important one because a lot of the times why people, especially let's say friends, might feel like you're annoying is because you don't respect their boundaries, right? If they tell you that they're busy, if they tell you that they don't really want to talk right now, if they tell you they're not free to hang out or free to do anything, you might just get upset and try to badger them until they go along with what you want. And I think that's a major problem because while you're fighting for the things you want, you're not taking into account what the other person can give. Plus, this can also play in when you kind of press your friends a little too much about things, right? Sometimes they may not be ready to open up, or they may want to keep something private. Maybe something's going on in their life that they don't want to talk about, but you keep asking them and asking them. It can come off incredibly annoying to them because they might feel like, hey, this person's not being respectful. They're not giving me my space, and they're just kind of making me feel uncomfortable because they have this desire to know. So that's a real challenge I think some of us face and some of us run into, where we just kind of don't respect people's boundaries and we just keep pressing on because we're more focused on what we want rather than acknowledging what they're willing to give and they're able to give in those moments. I want to jump into the chat and see what some of you guys are saying here. Trinity the Monkey says, I know everything goes through it. Well, hold on. I know everything goes through it in their lives, but I didn't realize how stressful it can be. Let's hope 2020 brings something to look forward to. I think I missed the first piece of that, but I do hope that the rest of the year does bring something to look forward to. Anything. Donna says, I don't take a lot of things seriously. That's a really good attitude to have, Donna. I agree with you on that. Let's see. Alex Burns says, I respect everybody's boundaries. That's really awesome, Alex. In fact, we'll do a chat poll here. I'm curious. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Have you ever felt like a friend pushed you away because you weren't giving them space? Maybe you were talking to them too much or asking too many questions and they just kind of got annoyed and pulled back from you. Have you ever been in a situation like that where, like I said, you felt like that friend wanted to disconnect from you because you weren't really respecting their boundaries? I want to hear what you guys have to say. So jump into the chat and let me know. And while I wait for those answers to kind of roll in, I do want to say this, guys. We have an awesome, awesome community that you need to be a part of. If you're someone that's watching this live stream for the first time, or you're a veteran who comes back every single week and you're not part of our Discord, you're missing out. It's just an awesome place to catch up and make friends. Most of the people in here, I think, are in the Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, you're really, really missing out. It's a great place to make friends, a great place to kind of share what's on your mind, to talk about your feelings, to get advice. I jump in there from time to time. We have an awesome team of moderators that also answer questions and help direct people and are just super engaged. It's just a fun community, a welcoming community. It's open and free to anyone. So if you're thinking about joining, go to thejoshspeaks.com/Discord. It's the best way to join. So I asked you guys that question there, and I said, have you ever kind of felt like you crossed boundaries with someone and they kind of pulled back a little bit? Here's what you guys had to say. Rage Master says, yeah, I guess. Hamish says, yeah. Travis says, yeah, and I want to talk to someone about it. Travis, I hear you on that. If it's something that you feel is small, talk to a friend or jump into the Discord and talk there. If you feel like it's big and it's something you really, really struggle with, you may want to speak to a counselor. BetterHelp is a good way to do that. Let's see. OG Pressure says yes. Nigel says yup. Jalen says yeah. My crush Bella. Anachronic says jumped. Maybe not sure. I'm not very good at picking up on things like that. I hear you on that. Judah says, hey Josh, there's this YouTube channel called More Jitsu and their motto is laugh daily. That's awesome. It's a great motto to have. Trinity the Monkey says yes. Azim, thank you again for the $5 super chat. Azim. Let me answer this question here. Is the cube considered a PUA scam? That's a good question. What's the meaning of it? Reminds me of how Ian Malcolm uses Chaos Theory 2 to flirt with Ellie Sattler in Jurassic Park. Here's the thing about the cube. The cube by itself is a psychological test, right? It's a psychological exam to see how you respond to certain things. In fact, I'm planning on doing a video where I walk through the cube just to kind of explain a little bit and how to use it in communication and styles. I want to do a series of videos where I talk about different things you can talk about with a girl or with a guy that you like. That's just fun and interesting conversations. But the cube as itself is, like I said, it's just a psychological test. It's like if I were to kind of talk to someone about like, Pavlov's, dog test, where it's like the dogs would salivate every time you rung the bell. PUA, it's sometimes used in PUA, and it was made, I think, prominently famous by Neil Strauss. Don't worry, Hamish. I'm going to explain what the cube is in a video coming up at some point. But it's a psychological test that you can kind of ask a person questions and learn a little bit more of the personality and stuff. It is not a Rubik's Cube, but ultimately, I think it's used by PUAs because it's a good way to kind of create a fun and interesting and engaging conversation. But how Ian Malcolm uses chaos theory 2 in Jurassic Park is similar in that nature, where he's talking about this big, complex, interesting thing, and he's kind of he's speaking about it in a way that's captivating, but that's interesting, that makes the person feel like, wow, this is so deep and introspective. And I think that's the key piece. If you're going to if you want to include something that's from psychology, if you want to include something that's from sociology or even science or anything, it's like, find a way to talk about it, right? Like comedians do this really well, where they'll take something that's going on, something I noticed about life or something that happened in my childhood, and they'll find a way to tell that story, and not just tell the story, but they'll find a way to make it engaging. Maybe they'll throw in lines of dialogue, or they'll animate and act something out. They find a way to take a normal story and make it more fun and engaging. And that's exactly what Ian Malcolm does. That's exactly what I think some PUA artists do when they talk about the cube. I wouldn't say it's a scam, because like I said, you're just using something from psychology in conversation. But as I said before, it sounded like a few of you guys might have, done things or said things that push people away. And some people had said, hey, I'm not really sure when I do it. It's hard for me to understand it, hard for me to read it. So that's why I said, I think it's important to look through this video, all the different points we're sharing, and try to catch yourself to say, hey, you know what? I do that. Or, oh man, that's happened to me before. How can I work on that? I think those are going to be the key steps to help you start to fix those qualities so that people can like you, people can feel more comfortable around you, people can want to open up to you more. All right, I want to jump into point number 5 here. This sun is really glaring in my eye here. And that's going to be this, guys. You talk way too much about yourself. This is an important one. This is what we were talking about before, where if you're asking a lot of questions, right? Questions are good, but what some people do is the opposite, and they just talk nonstop about themselves. They are constantly sharing what they're thinking, what they like, what they're feeling, and they never create room for the other person to open up, and never create room for the other person to share what they feel and to talk about their own perspective and their own interests with things. This happens quite a lot, actually. People sometimes get so wrapped up in talking about themselves that they push the other person away, and they're not even aware of it, right? The other person has checked out of the conversation, but they're still talking, they're still going, because to them, it's just them being normal, them doing their normal thing. Guys, I want you to catch yourself if you feel like you talk way too much. I want you to think about it and ask yourself, when I'm having a conversation with someone, how much of that conversation is me talking and how much of that conversation is me listening? Ideally, you want to be in a conversation where you're spending more time listening, because what you're doing in listening more is you're allowing the other person to find ways to connect with you, right? Now, the other person is probably doing the same, spending more time listening. So both of you are trying to listen more. So you'll ask questions to the person, and you'll share stories. You'll talk about what's going on in your experience, but a lot of it is reframing it to learn more about them. I talked about this in a previous live stream I did, I think last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that, where I talk about how if you're talking about yourself, at some point in that dialogue, you want to stop and go, yeah, but I'm curious. Have you ever experienced something like that before? What was your experience like? Talk to me about something you've encountered. Doing things like that's going to kind of pull away from the idea of that person getting annoyed. Oh my God, this person does talk about themselves, and feel like, wow, he actually or she actually wants to hear what I have to say. They care about what I have to share. So you want to kind of give the space for the person to talk as well. If you're the one constantly talking, it's going to be incredibly annoying to that person. Now look, sometimes people just talk and talk and talk when they feel nervous. So that's also something important for you to think about. And I'll do a chat poll here, guys, because I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Have you ever found yourself just kind of rattling off and talking a lot because in a situation because you were nervous? I've done it tons of times where I just keep talking and talking and talking because I feel awkward if there's silence. I feel awkward if there's open space. where no one's talking. So I'll just keep talking to fill in the gaps. But sometimes I'm actually hurting myself. I'm actually hurting my chances because what I'm doing is I'm not allowing the other person to share their thoughts. I'm not allowing the other person to talk. So it's incredibly important to give space for the other person to share. But I'm curious, have you guys ever been in a situation where you've done that before? Jalen says, yeah, I did. Trinity says, yeah, haha. Yes, haha. Rage Master says, yeah, I always do that. That's considered being a conversation hog. Yep, it's totally being a conversation hog. But all I rather do is talk about a lot about, all I rather do is talk is to talk a lot about my interests. Yeah, Rage Master, it's good to talk about your interests and it's good to share what you think about things. But if you are, oh no, it's buffering again. But if you're someone that doesn't give space for the other person to talk, then you're going to push them away and they're going to be annoyed. Jalen says, I tend to ramble at times. Hamish says, I get told to shut up when I talk. Synchro Legend says, yeah. Dono says, no, I don't ramble. Anthony says, and it's buffering again, so hopefully it's not. Hopefully it works. Haley says, I find myself not talking a lot. Yeah, and sometimes too, we hold it, like we were saying before, Haley, sometimes we're afraid to share our voice because we think people don't care about what we have to say or they don't want to hear us. And the truth of the matter is that I think ultimately what people hope to hear from someone is that, hey, you can relate to what I'm saying, or you at least empathize or understand what I'm going through, or are willing to hear what I'm going through. Azim says, but people only love to talk about themselves. It's hard for people to care about the other person. Some people like to just talk about themselves and then just want to run away. Yeah, Azim, and that's the point too here. It's incredibly annoying when people only want to talk about themselves, right? Even if you're on the receiving end of someone doing it to you, it can be incredibly annoying because you may feel like, why doesn't this person kind of allow me to share? Or why won't this person let me share my perspective and feelings too? Hamish says, I have no one to talk to apart from myself. Hamish, you have this awesome community. Every single week in the live streams, we're here to talk to you. You know, on the Instagram after parties, we're there to talk to you. Haley says, I feel like I get overshadowed by bigger voices a lot. I hear you on that, Haley. And I think that's a common problem that I think a lot of girls run into, right? Guys sometimes can be very loud and abrasive and talk over each other. And it kind of becomes the style of how they communicate. Everyone's vying to talk louder over one another. And then sometimes important voices get shut out and they don't get heard. So one thing I think guys need to be more aware of is, are they allowing everyone in the room and in the situation to share their perspective and speak? Are they also creating space where they're not talking so that other people can feel comfortable speaking? Because if you're just constantly talking, thinking, yeah, they'll just interject whenever they want, that's not how everyone operates. Some people kind of don't feel comfortable talking over each other or jumping in. So, Haley, I think you have a super comedic voice. You make a lot of fun jokes. I think you have important things to share and an important voice that's worth hearing. So I hope that you feel more comfortable speaking out more. Drop the lens. Hope you feel more comfortable speaking out more and sharing your perspective and your opinion on things. Hold on, let me get the lens. It's the one for the camera here. But yeah, guys. So I want to jump in now and say that I know some of you guys have questions that I probably didn't get to answer. And if you're someone that wants to talk to me one-on-one every single month, if you want to work with me in a way that we can talk about what's going on in your life, we can figure out a path and purpose for you, check out the link to Patreon. I just added two new levels, I guess, to it. I don't know what it's called. Two new things. Two new tiers. They're called tiers. I added a new tier. One is the hero tier. So I'll walk you guys through the tiers quickly. We have the supporter tier, which is the $1 tier. And that basically is if you want to just support the channel, support what I do, you care about it, you want to help, that's the supporter tier. And I'm super appreciative. We have the community tier where every single month, everyone in the community level and higher up gets to jump on a group chat. And we all video chat and talk to each other. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way to communicate and connect with each other. Oh yeah, we got to do our group chat this month too. Probably next week. But I also have the champion tier where every single month we can jump on a video chat one-on-one, you and me, for 30 minutes and just kind of talk about what's going on in your life. There's a lot of people right now that are part of the champion tier. And for some people, I know they feel like 30 minutes might not be enough for them to talk about what's going on. So I've also created the hero tier. And the hero tier is going to be a 1-hour chat. So if you're interested in talking to me for an hour a month just about what's going on in your life, it's a great way to kind of like catch me up on how things are going. I do this with a few people now where it's like we just kind of go through bullet points of questions they have, but it's more just checking in and seeing how things are going. And then also I created the mentor tier. Now what the mentor tier is basically is 4 times a month. So pretty much once every single week, we could jump on a 1-hour video chat. The reason why I created this mentor tier is because if you're someone that wants to check in with me more regularly on a weekly basis about what's going on in your life, you want to figure out a way to kind of like, get a better grip on your dating experience, your life, your school, family life, friends, anything. It's the best way to kind of check in and work with me and have me work with you and figure out what you want to do in your life, in being your best self. The hero tier. I didn't even know there was a hero emoji like that. That's so cool. I set it up on Patreon. I haven't set it up on YouTube channel members yet, but I'm going to be setting that up soon. So definitely check out Patreon right now if you want to join one of those tiers. Like I said, if you want to talk to me one-on-one. What I will also say is this, guys. We're going to do a recap of the 5 points in a second here. As I said before, join the Instagram after party. I'm going to go live right after this live stream. Neon says, I'm an ugly midget that no one likes. Neon, I know you may feel that way. I know you may feel down on yourself. But I know that besides your height and besides your looks, you bring so much to the table. You are probably a super interesting person with lots of interesting hobbies and a lot to share. So while you may feel like those 2 things hold you back from most interactions, they don't hold you back from all interactions. So the key piece is to focus and highlight the things that you excel at rather than beating yourself up about the things that you can't change or the things you don't have control over. Reading through some more. Alex Burns says, how much one-on-one? I don't have money, Josh. So all the tier levels are there. The champion tier is $10 a month. Hero, I think, was $20. And then the mentor tier is $100 a month. So it's those 4 chats a week. Or hero tier is $25. I don't know. Check out Patreon. I set it up there, guys. It's up there. But let's walk through these 5 points again. I want to walk you guys through it just so we can kind of get a grip again on 5 signs you might be annoying and how to get people to like you guys. All right, let's jump right into it here. Sign number 1 is this. You reach too much for the attention of others. This happens a lot when you kind of message someone too much or try to really desperately get their attention. A lot of times you want them to kind of pay attention to you and acknowledge you, but you do it at the risk of pushing them away. That person might feel like, man, this person just messages me too much, or they're too on my case about talking to them, right? Sometimes we do this when we DM someone a million times. Sometimes we do this when we keep video chatting them or messaging them, trying to get their attention. You end up actually hurting your relationship with that person because they feel like this person's not respecting my space. They're not giving me time to myself. If I tell them I'm busy, they're not listening to me. So make sure you're not doing this, guys. Make sure you're not trying to grab more of someone's time than they're willing and able to give you. Sign number 2 is that you treat your friends like they're your therapists. Now, it's good to share how you feel with your friends. It's good to open up and talk about that, what you're going through. But your friends are not trained professionals. So sometimes you may be unloading and venting to them, but they may not always have the solutions that you need to process and work through your problems. And also, it can kind of hinder a relationship where if all you do is talk to your friend about your problems, you're going to be missing out on the positive connections you guys have together, hanging out, having fun, laughing together. And it's only going to be a relationship that's built on kind of sharing, the hard experiences with a friend. It can make things a lot more difficult. On my case. So if you feel like you are dealing with a lot, like, I see that Care9620 says, who gives an F about looks? The only thing that can be ugly is your personality. Yeah, I think that's good advice there. But if you're someone, oh man, who's saying it before? I missed it. Nigel. Well, no, what's Nigel? Who was it? Oh, Neon. I'm sorry. Neon YouTube. If you're someone like Neon, I think a service like BetterHelp.com might be super helpful for you. Now, I partnered with BetterHelp. This is a sponsored post. This is not a sponsored video, but this is a sponsored link. So if you go there, I make a commission or whatever it is on anyone who signs up for BetterHelp for it, just to share that. But BetterHelp is a wonderful service for, like where you can connect with a counselor. You could talk about what's going on in your life. BetterHelp does an amazing job of matching you with someone that really is specific to the things you need help with. If you're suffering from depression, if you have a lot of anxiety, if you're dealing with LGBTQ issues, if you feel like you are struggling in school and are overwhelmed, if there are problems at home, they'll match you with a counselor that's right for you, the kind of person that can actually help you process what you're going through. So definitely check out betterhelp.com/thejoshspeaks if you feel like you need that extra help. Point number 3, and sign number 3, is you tend to over-dramatize situations. This happens a lot when, as we said before, you're kind of looking for attention, so you will play things up and say things when you don't really mean it. I've seen people do this a lot where they'll say something like, oh my God, I hate my life, I'm going to kill myself, but they don't feel that way. They're just kind of saying it. And what it ends up doing is getting everyone around them scared and nervous and jumping in to help them, only to realize, oh, they were just saying it for attention. So it's incredibly important to not abuse people's trust, to be respectful of their trust, right? Because when you reach out to someone for help, they're there and they want to help you. But if they feel like you are saying things for the sake of saying them, then they're going to start to pull away. And then you end up with the boy who cried wolf scenario where they don't feel trusting of you. They don't feel like you're being honest with you. Point number 4 and sign number 4 is this. You don't respect others' privacy and boundaries. This can happen a lot when you kind of ask people too many questions that are private questions. Maybe they don't feel comfortable answering. Maybe they don't want to talk about something going on and they need just space to themselves to figure things out. So it's important to not pry and to not be nosy and to not make people feel uncomfortable just for the sake of, like your own curiosity, right? It's sometimes you need to pull back. You need to kind of be respectful of others and be understanding that they may not be in a place where they want to share right now, and that's okay. Sign number 5 is you talk way too much about yourself. Sometimes people just kind of go on and on. Sometimes they're nervous and they do it, but they go on and on because, they just want to share as much as they can. They want to only talk about the things they want to talk about. And this can be incredibly annoying to people. It can be incredibly annoying to someone that you're trying to connect with because they may feel like you're not giving them space to talk as well. You're not giving them space to open up. So you definitely should create a gap in the conversation where they can share their thoughts. They can express their opinions. It's also important to ask questions so that you can learn more about that person and it isn't a one-sided conversation. Guys, there are a lot of things you can do to not be annoying, but ultimately what it comes down to is being mindful of how you speak to others, being mindful of how you talk, what you talk about, and how often you kind of give space to the other person to share back with you. So what I want to do from here is jump into our mindful moment. This is one of my favorite segments of the live stream because it gives us the opportunity to kind of reflect on the things that we talked about, the things that we heard. It gives us a chance to kind of think deeply about the topic at hand. So with this topic, 5 signs you might be annoying. I know sometimes that it's Clemson every time I hear you on that. It is time for the meditation bell. And I hate COVID too, Alex. I hate it too. What I want you guys to think about, I'm trying to get it centered. What I want you guys to think about now is how you can be a more comfortable and confident person in sharing your thoughts and feelings, in asking questions. I know there's a fear sometimes that we don't want people to be annoyed or bothered by us. So think deeply about what a connected you looks like. We can close our eyes and we can think now deeply about that. I want to take 10 seconds at the sound of the bell for us to think deeply about what a connected us looks like. Connected in the sense of connection to other people and how other people are comfortable around us and we're comfortable with ourselves. What would it look like if you accepted yourself for who you were? What would it look like if you were okay with all that you bring to the table? I want you to think deeply about that, guys, as we listen to the bell. We're going to warm up the bell there. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this live stream. One thing I want to emphasize here is that while sometimes people may feel like you're annoying or you may do annoying things, you yourself are not an annoying person, right? Being annoying is a thing that we do, but you're not defined by that. You bring so much to the table in just you being you. There's no one else in this world exactly like you. And guess what? I like you exactly the way you are. What I want you to do is check out the video if you're watching the replay over there on the side, where I'm going to talk more about dealing with feeling like you're annoying and people being annoyed with you. I want you guys now to jump on over to the Instagram live stream, and we'll continue the chat over there. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for dealing with the whole kind of technical difficulties in the middle there. But I truly appreciate each and every single one of you, and I will talk to you soon. As always, love and peace. See you guys then.